The Doomsday Vault. Go.
This is the introduction song. It's not very good, but it's not too long.
So, there's really not a lot to say about this book. It was fun, but it was really stupid, it was really cheesy, and honestly, the audience for this is probably really small, but I had a good time with it. It's just dumb fun. The book is about, I don't really care, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So it's about, Victorian England. There's this disease going around called the clockwork plague, which most of the time it will slowly kill people and turn them into zombie things, and then their flesh will rot and their minds will go. But in very rare cases, it'll turn them into what they call clockworkers, who are also kind of crazy, and it will also kill them after a couple of years, but it also makes them super smart, so they go around inventing all these crazy things. And so they're, even though it's in 1857, I believe, they have a bunch of crazy steampunk technology. And it doesn't always make a whole lot of sense. Like, for example, they have zeppelins, or they call them dirigibles, but I think that sounds stupid, so I'm calling them zeppelins. And they mention how you can't use bullets or anything on them because that'll make the whole thing explode. And that's not quite how zeppelins worked in real life. Like, you just shoot them with a bullet, it'll make a hole, but it's not gonna explode unless it's an incendiary bullet. And then, yeah, the hydrogen will go off. But, yeah, whatever. Little things like that, you know. It bothered me a little, but it's not too big a deal. And then, so the story follows two main characters called Alice and Gavin. And Gavin is an American sailor or airman, I should say, on a Zeppelin. And he gets kidnapped by pirates, and then he winds up in London. And from there, I don't want to spoil anything. And then there's Alice, who is a really high-class aristocrat, and most of her family's dead except for her father, and he's, on the way out. And so she needs to find herself a husband, because it's 1857, and that's pretty much all women could do back then. Sorry. Even though she is really, really smart and a really good engineer, that's all she can aspire to. And so, you know, there's some cliches involved with that, like, oh man, women, girl power, you know, that sort of thing. But whatever, I don't really care about that sort of thing, and it's actually handled a little better than normal. I'll get to that in a minute. Like I said, the story to this, there's not much to say about it. It's just kind of dumb and fun. Like, near the end, when you start finding out more about the villains, it's actually really, really goddamn funny, because seeing the villains' plan, you're just like, this is ridiculous. How would you ever think this would work? But then you realize that, well, the main villain is a clockworker, so their mind isn't all there. So to them, this would make perfect sense. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's legitimately really funny. I'm not sure if the book meant it to be totally funny, because for the most part, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like I said, it's just trying to be fun, but I'm not sure if the plan was meant to be taken seriously or not. But either way, I had a laugh with it. The main characters, same thing. You know, they're mostly just there for, you know, fun. They're fine. You know, they have their moments, but overall, it's just kind of it's fun and cheesy. And watching their romance, that's not a spoiler, they fall in love. Watching that is just cheesy fun, same with all the action scenes and blowing shit up. And, like, when a book has a scene where the dude has an electric rifle and shoots a crowd of zombies with it, you know that there's not a whole lot to be said about it. Just read it and have fun. There were two things about this that bothered me a bit, though. The first one being that Alice, partway through, or near the beginning, finds herself a fiancé and gets engaged. And, well, for the most part, their relationship is handled fine. Like, in these sorts of stories where they have this sort of love triangle or something, they usually make the other dude that the lady's with a total dick, so that you the reader, will want her to get with the new guy. But in this one, it's handled a lot more maturely. Like, Alice feels kind of pressured into marrying this other dude, but it's not because of her family or anything, it's just because she needs the money and she needs a way to care for her father, and she just can't do that if she doesn't marry him. And he's not a total asshole either. He's just kind of boring and they aren't all that compatible, but you know, he's fine. And so for a long time I was thinking, yeah, this is actually this is one area I can take seriously, and I think it's handled well. It's not super cliched or childish or anything. But then near the end, they just go fucking all out and make him a total psycho, and nah, that bothered me a little more than it should have. If he had just been like upset like a normal person would be, then it would have been fine. But he went way too far with it, and so it just didn't work. And I already mentioned the second thing that bothered me. You know, just sometimes the world and technology's a little off. Like, they mentioned going to Germany several times, but Germany didn't really exist as a country at the time. Like, German people existed, but that was about it. So it's weird. And you know, they barely mention the United States at all, but they also mention that China is supposedly growing into a superpower, which is kind of odd given the geopolitics of the time. Like, China was supposed to be super backwards and out of touch and not industrializing at all. And yeah, it's just very, very strange. But and just little things like that, really, nothing too huge. It only bothered me because I was being pedantic about it, but it was a little strange. But other than that, really fun book. Just if it sounds like something you'd enjoy, just steampunk weapons versus zombies occasionally, and also like weird political conspiracies and shit, then you'll enjoy it just fine. But I wouldn't blame you if you're outside of that audience. This is a very, very niche sort of thing.